put on IG, he was on vacation and everything looked great. But behind the scenes, it was very different. And I give you credit because if you're not in your immediate circle, outside looking in, you couldn't tell about anything that was going on. But can you kind of share that a little bit about what was going on behind the scenes during your life at that time?
Well, it was a lot going on. And one thing I've learned that with social media, whatever you put out there, you can ask people to mind their business. But once it's out there, it is honestly the world's business. It's up to you to respond to it or just let it go away. But I noticed what was going on in my life. It wasn't going away. It was actually getting worse. So there were a lot of things that were piling up that I would try to post a pretty picture or some fun things going on. But at the end of the day, when them lights go off and them cameras is down, shit got real.
Yeah.
So it was just a lot from when I first got into the industry. Let's just put it on the table. Like everybody knows you're introduced to a lot of things. And it's not by one particular person. It is what it is. It's just like when you're in high school, everybody be smoking in the bathroom, everybody be doing this. So you're just like, oh, okay, I just want to be cool too. Like I'm with all of this. Right. So it just became a lot of things became at my disposal. Like all I had to do was get it. He was there. But then, things after you do things for a certain amount of time, whether it be anything you're addicted to, whether it be niggas, whether it be drugs, whether it be drinking, whether it just be hanging out, when it becomes a habit, that's when it becomes a problem. And at first, when things were going on, I didn't see the problem because I was like, well, everyone else is doing it. But then when you come to your senses, you realize, well, you're not everyone else. Even from the beginning, you was never like everyone else. Even though you was around it and you was associated with it, you was never like everyone else. So with that, it's just like when I saw it, and honestly, with my manager now, when he had me, because I had went through a whole purge, and for the past 2 years, it's been a purge for I would say honestly for 20 years of foolishness. Some people saw, some people heard, some people don't know, but things that I was dealing with, and I was just like, I can't continue to move forward and sing these songs but live a lie. And I said the other day, I had so many people lying to me and I was dying in it when I would wish that I would have listened to those who were trying to tell me the truth so I can live. But then when you face reality and you come to the truth that you was just like, yo, this is fucked up. Like, this is not right. This is not how I was raised. And this is not what I want my children to become. And this is not what I want them to see. Like, everybody has their issues, and we all have that time in life where we mature and we touch the hot stove just to see if it's still hot. Will we tamper and we do things? But when it gets out of hand, you have to be adult enough to know, and you have to take full accountability to be like, I indulged in it, I allowed it, and I have to take accountability for it. And since I took accountability for my opioid addiction, for my marriage addiction, and been divorced 3 times, like I took account for that. I'm not hiding from that. I'm not putting my L's on nobody else. Now, what happened behind the scenes, so you'll see a smile on social media, but nobody knows that I was missing patches of hair or that I was losing weight or looking crazy or popping pills just to start my day. So it's just like, I realized once I started speaking out and speaking up, I was drawing more people that way rather than telling people, you don't know what the fuck you talking about. And they could tell, they know, bitch, use popping perks because I know who sells them to you. You feel me? Yeah. So I just had to live in my truth. And that's what I expect nothing less from myself now than to be truthful about everything that I did.
Right now, obviously, it's a pandemic when you talk about Percocets, and you were mentioning you were in Philadelphia and Philly, all other cities. But at what point for the audience did you hit rock bottom when you're like, you know what? I got to turn around. I got to, I know you talked about you almost OD'd one time as well, but.
Yeah, that shit is real. Like a lot of people, I think that anybody who's ever done pills or even like people think OD means that, okay, like there's certain things that you can overdose. There's been times I've drank too much alcohol and my blood alcohol level was so high that like you can literally shut down your liver and your whole system could shut down. So you're sitting there with IVs because you're so dehydrated, your body, like there were times my levels were so low. Let's just start there. My levels were so low. I was driving home one day and I literally had enough strength because my hands had locked up to pull over the side of the road. And that's when iPhones had just started where you can touch screen. And I was able to call 911 and I had them call my dad. And I was just like, please don't let me die like this. So that was pre-Philadelphia.
Okay.
That was something I would say never came out because I was just like, you know what? I stopped doing that. I stopped drinking energy drinks, popping pills, drinking liquor the night before partying and just living reckless. So I stopped. But then you go through battles of depression and stuff that you're going through because I never got a handle on like what is really going on. I thought I could handle it. I was thinking, oh, I'm fine. Like I could still sing and hit my notes, but mentally and emotionally, I just wasn't there. So I was living one way and acting another, and it was just a conflict within my spirit. So then stopped for a while, started doing reality TV, radio, dipping in other forms of entertainment, but I still wasn't happy. So I just felt that my only escape would be through opioids. So we would start out as a half, turn to a whole, turn to two, turn to three, turn to mixing stuff up and be like, oh, you got to try this codeine, promethazine, all of that. Like, and for my posture, for my size, the doctors still be like, how did you ingest it? I was like, I guess I'm a strong individual, but I was fighting demons and I was trying to suppress them this way. So the rock bottom came in is when I knew that I felt like I couldn't function without it.
Okay.
And I do remember one day I took a pill and I was like, this joint ain't do nothing. So the whole day I'm going on thinking like nothing's going on. All of a sudden, like I could hear my heart beating. And I was like, wait, this don't feel right. And then I started shaking. I was like, oh my God, if I die, this is not the way I want to go. Like this isn't right. And then I called my peoples and I was just like, yo, I think y'all sold me a bad pill. They was like, yo, I think that joint was crazy too. I was like, I don't think that was that was either E or that was a bomb or it was like something else that was not no Percocet because that's not the way you're supposed to feel like you're going to die. Like you can literally feel your soul leaving your body and you're begging God, please don't let me die like this, not with my kids uncared for, nothing. So my rock bottom was when I realized not only was my marriage declining, but my soul was dying. And it just got to a point where I was just like, nah, I can't live like this because when I was accepting the abuse to the point where it's one thing it happened behind your back. People are like, oh, okay, I could deal with this. But when people are comfortable enough to do that in front of their children, that's where my rock bottom was. But that's where I had to draw the line. And so then I had to plan my way of escape and just realize how can I move forward from this because nobody deserves this, especially when you're the breadwinner and you're the one that, you're the one who have to drive us, make the home run.
Right.
You feel me?
Appreciate you sharing that. You also talked about the abusive side of what was going on in your life. And I kind of want to compare it to what we see out here now because we're seeing so many headlines going on and there's just sides divided. Black men and black women are divided. You got one that now you guys are lying. You got one side saying now all you guys ain't shit. And it's so crazy. And we talk about a number of situations that's going on, but we weren't in none of them motherfuckers. So we're to speculate. We have no idea.
Yeah.
Being a woman that dealt with the situation like that and seeing what's going on. How, from a woman's perspective, how do you feel about all that? And how do you feel about the divide that we see when talked about, when abuse is brought up and things of sexual misconduct, let's just put it like that, is brought up?
Well, when it's brought up, I realized that if certain things will happen to me, I'm not the only one. I won't be the first and I won't be the last. There are situations that I see, and then I see there are some people's characters that are being attacked, and I've never picked that up from them, nor have I ever seen it. So there are some things that are capped and clout chase. But there are some things that I can feel in people's spirit. I'd be like, something is wrong. I can look at certain people that I know and I'm just like, dang, she posting up all this stuff, but I know for a fact that she's getting her head knocked off between the washer and dryer. So she has to act like nothing's going on. But there are a lot of people who would rather be under abuser because they're the breadwinner. I'm not that one. I'm sorry, but I've dealt with it so long. I know how to identify it. One thing about certain abuse, from sexual to physical to emotional to financial, is identifiable. There are signs. So I see a lot of people like, they're guilty. I'm just like, no, you like, don't point the finger and don't judge because somebody's allowing something. So I could say the first time I was abused, I allowed it because I was just like, oh, dang, you automatically think, what did I do? But then when it continues and you just like, wait, I ain't do nothing.
Yeah.
Just trying to ride and hold it down. Like, it's just like, okay, this is where I come in and I speak up, and then I bring that helps other people be strong enough to talk about it. And like my mother always told me, you just never know what people are going home to or what they're dealing with. So it's best that you mind your business. But when they say, hey, help, you know, people breathe on the thing and write help.
Yeah.
Don't just be like, nah, bitch, you wait. No, help. There are so many people that are crying out for help, but we overlook it because we're like, oh, they got money. That's just rich people problems. I'm going to stay out the way. And a lot of things are blamed on CTE or, you know, trauma, PTSD. It's time to stop pointing and blaming the pointing the blame and putting it on illnesses and actually deal with the mental health. Everyone needs to get evaluated before they get in a relationship, period. For real. I learned that. I learned that in that marriage boot camp house. Because things that you think you're hiding, they see everything. There was cameras everywhere. And even if there wasn't cameras, there was microphones. If there wasn't microphones, there was mannerism. There was a mannerism. Like, they are specifically trained to tell what is going on. So even though I was like, nah, they was like, you could tell us because we already know.
Can I ask you this real quick? Because Dr. Dre's going through what he's going through in a divorce. We've talked about that often from a male perspective, saying that 2.1 million is absolutely insane. Yeah. But you know people that have dealt with Dr. Dre, and you know, you've heard stories. We've heard you hear actually say things on interviews and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you think about that? Is that justified coming from a woman's perspective? God knows what she was going through. We say it's crazy as men not knowing what was going on. But what's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on it is, and always will be, I've heard women say this, but I've never seen it. So it's just like, I know that everybody can't be lying, but it's like what you allow will continue. So you have to speak up and speak out, and you have to stand firm. You can't be afraid of, oh, they gonna call the big goons on me and da da da. No, you just have to know that once you go after certain people, oh, they coming. So I met Dr. Dre and he was cool with me, but the women who are in relationship with him say otherwise. So it would behoove me as a woman to be like, well, because of this is what they said, I shouldn't don't ever get no relationship with him. You already, like, people don't just change. And I don't know what actually happens behind closed doors, but I've heard some pretty traumatic stories, none of which I've personally experienced or saw, but I know some people say they have survived. So with that, I'm just like, wow. I always seem to attract those type of people. That's why we wrote Broken Heart, because I attract the most broken people. And it's a lot of women who get strength from me. So I can tell what some people have been going through, but I let them tell their story and I let them tell their testimony. Because a lot of abusers, they be hiding it, but I know some people that be whooping bitches' asses in front of everybody. And I know some women that be punching niggas in their face in front of everybody. And I'm like,
yeah.
what?
Yeah.
It's real out here. And I know with